It's the Roadblock and Rokmo show featuring Etari Living Sacrifice.
Especially when we start playing. And it's a shame James walked away because I really wanted to mention this. I really want to do, as weird as it may seem, a podcast with at least you two.
Well, we're three white dudes, so makes sense.
I enjoy both of you guys' company, and I feel like we're somewhat entertaining.
Yeah, I don't know. I like to think of myself as a good entertainer, but I don't know how many people you're
I was going to, the plan that I had, and I never followed through on it because that's my biggest issue, is that I have good ideas I don't follow through on. But
that's everybody's biggest issue.
So, but I don't know if you heard it, James, because you were AFK at the time, but I was talking to Rokmo about doing I would love, with at least the two of you, to do like a weekly podcast or something. And I know that that's going to take a lot of planning and stuff to sort out, but
I mean, that's basically what we do right now, bro.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, we just need to record it and put it on the right platform.
But yeah, what I'm getting at is if that's something you want to do, like just it's we don't even have to change our we don't even have to change what we're doing, like our time frame and whatnot. It's just start talking.
True.
We did a podcast though. I would want like a set time though.
Yeah, I was saying maybe formalize it a little bit, research some maybe not research, but like come in with some topics, because I would love to talk about the state of video games at some point. What your thoughts are on the state of video games, and you know, because I personally, despite the fact that there are so many games out there, I personally feel like video games are in kind of a dark place right now.
Oh, I don't believe that for a moment.
Well,
why is that?
So what? Name
Save it for podcasts.
Save it for the podcast.
But we can re-record it. But seriously, name the last AAA game that was a success.
Define success.
Financial.
I don't think it's fair to say whether a game's financially successful or not.
Financially and critically. For me, the first one that comes to mind is Spider-Man. The PlayStation Spider-Man game.
AAA games. First of all, anything Nintendo made. So, Animal Crossing, Luigi's Mansion,
okay, yeah,
Origami.
You're right. Well, the last Pokemon game was successful too.
You know, I don't want to talk about Pokemon.
Well,
let's talk about Temtem, all right?
Here's the issues that I have. So, Fallout 76 comes to mind. The new Avengers game, Anthem. These WoW, Warcraft 3 Reforged.
But what did you say? 76? That's successful. Are you talking about not successful? I don't know what you're talking because.
No, I'm saying these are not successful. Fallout 76 was not a success.
They're still making stuff, and
yeah, they're still making stuff.
People are still buying it.
But it was super panned critically. They definitely did not make back. I would assume they did not make back their investment into that game. And yes, they're still pushing out content, but they're requiring, from the reports that I read months ago, so don't quote me on these, but they were the things that game's community wanted were being delivered behind a paywall. You know, they're like, yeah, you guys can have servers, but you need to give us a bunch of money for them.
Like, you said financial success, so I don't know. You have to look at the numbers to see if it's good.
And I don't think they would. I don't think those numbers. I think game companies are keeping a lot of that quiet now, aren't they?
It depends. There's ways to find out estimates. Like if it's on Steam, you can. There's like certain things that people can do to estimate it.
For me, though, something that I have an issue with the state of video games right now is that the AAA game companies are looking for their Fortnite. And that's my opinion. That's my opinion. But I think that the way that they are producing and shipping, and I don't mean physically shipping, I mean like, you know, the way that they're selling games, they're promoting. They're trying to get something to be their next.
I'm going to say that the industry has always been chasing like those things ever since video games have been popular. And the only reason why someone would say that is because of the here and now, but I would argue that it's always been like that. And the fact that I can name so many games off the top of my head that came out in the past year alone, AAA or indie, is indicative that we are in a success. And I think we're in a golden age because it's easier and easier to make games. And because of that, people are making better and better things.
Why is there so much crunch then?
Well, those are for the AAA games. Crunch has always existed for big studios and even big companies in general. Crunch has existed. I mean, I don't think crunch has anything to do with whether a game's successful or not, or indicative of an era. Like, I think a lot of people just make games and make them the best they can, and then they come out wonderful, and that's great. And if there's crunch, well, I think that's like a whole different topic. Because I mean, even during Nintendo games.
No, I'm not attacked. Yeah, I'm not trying to bring up. That was just a curious. You seem to have more knowledge of the situation than me. That's why I brought up.
Well, I mean, I don't have more information than you. I don't know that much about the industry. I loosely follow it, but I definitely feel like I have a more grounded viewpoint than other people, and I have played a lot of games. I mean, I've been playing games since, Nintendo and almost Atari, and I've played a lot of different games, and I just feel like there's just so much out there and so much more is being created. I know there's a lot of bad. Like, if you want to follow a game and it's a AAA and you want to pre-order it, you shouldn't pre-order a game unless that company has gained your trust. I mean, companies that don't gain trust are like EA or Blizzard or other stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, Blizzard had my trust for a long time, and they don't anymore.
Well, Overwatch is great. The last game they put out, Overwatch, was amazing.
Well, that's kind of what I'm getting at too, though, is that there's nothing. The games that I want to play, and I understand that this is my bias in this conversation, but the games that I want to play aren't being made anymore.
Well, what games do you want to play?
Strategy game.
Stellaris.
I think it goes through.
Humanity,
I think it goes through cycles,
6.
man.
What kind of strategy?
So StarCraft 2 is how old? And I love. Yeah, I'm talking about real-time strategy games. Yes, because you could say strategy is a broad thing. If they made a Sudoku game on Steam, that's strategy. I guess someone could tag it that, right?
Probably puzzle, I guess.
But for me, I'm talking about a build your army. And I know Troy just came out, right? Total War Troy just came out, but I don't think that the only game that I've been looking forward to on an RTS level, in the last 5 years, maybe, was give me a second here. Warcraft 3 Reforged, which bombed.
I don't think that counts. Like a new game.
And then so that's what I'm saying. Like, where's Warcraft 4? Where's Command and Conquer 5? Where's
Supreme Commander?
Where's Supreme Commander 3? Where's and the games that have come out, I felt like have been on a smaller budget than I would have preferred them to be on. Now I understand, and here's my argument why. This is what I was getting at, where people want to make the next Fortnite. If you were to make StarCraft 3 or Warcraft 4, you cannot monetize a game like that, to my knowledge, the way you can Fortnite or Hearthstone or
They're trying. StarCraft's trying. If you've seen,
yes, they are on their previous game, but somebody on a corporate level, in my opinion, which is not informed, it's just my observation, is telling them no to StarCraft 3 because it's not going to make a profit that they want to be made versus their other successful mediums right now. Because they're still making money off of WoW. They're still making probably a ton of money off Hearthstone, especially with all the new content they've introduced. Heroes of the Storm has died. Overwatch, I love Overwatch. I got back into it a couple months ago. But I don't think that it's as big as it was.
I think genres evolve and they change. Like you said, they're chasing the next big thing. Like RTSs, they were the next big thing. Warcraft 1, 2, 3, StarCraft 1 and 2, and then the expansion packs, Command and Conquer. There's
Command and Conquer, they killed themselves. I've watched several
Yeah.
documentaries on how they ruined that franchise, but
I've never played Command and Conquer, but I know of its existence.
yeah, you should watch the documentary on what they did. They basically tried to make their game, instead of trying to make another Command and Conquer game, they tried to make the next StarCraft, and they totally botched it. Everything was behind paywalls. It was behind pay to win. Yeah, like you couldn't. They didn't offer a single player thing. You had to play online, and you had to pay. You would lose if you didn't pay to get the upgrade. It was a pay to win game.
That's super weird.
Yeah, they had no clue what they had.
But I would say like it's the industry is evolving and constantly changing. Maybe not as fast as one would think, but it is. And like back then, like before then, it was like platformers, and then it was like RTSs, and then now it's battle royales, and now it's party games because of we've got Among Us, and we've got that other successful one, Party Animals, and then there's what I'm talking about, the one that just came out.
No, I get what you're saying, and I agree with you.
It's changing and ever evolving, and people do chase that. And then there are some industries that just don't go away, and some companies that just don't go away, not negatively. I mean, like you have Interplay that's now making their game that Microsoft, it was popular, and now they're going on to make other things, and now you got like CRPGs, they're not going away. I mean, Pillars of Eternity and those guys, like they're still making stuff. You got roguelikes that are like revamping, refreshed with new material, whether they're survival games or they're like CRPGs or they're like, Risk of Rain and that kind of stuff. I mean, right now we have a roguelike and battle royale fascination, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I think we're moving towards a casual party as well. I mean, there are a ton of party games out there that I think are kind of meh. Among Us is like one of the few ones where I actually like think, oh, this is pretty cool to play. But like even Mario Party or like the 7 running guys or whatever, I forget what it's called, but like they're kind of like meh, but they exist as party games.
Yeah, Fall Guys.
Fall Guys. That's what I was talking about. But like, it's just it's constantly shifting to new and different things. And the big AAA companies, they do want money, and they are going to find a way to monetize things. But then you're going to have other AAA studios like CD Projekt Red, Obsidian, those guys. Microsoft is buying a whole bunch of games now. We're going to Netflix as a service. That's new, not even in terms of like genre, but just of like an evolution of OnLive in a way, and the PlayStation Network or PS Now. And it's just constantly changing and shifting. And sometimes things get left on the wayside. And that's just indicative of the genre and where we're moving as an industry. Now, it's not bad that RTSs are moving away. It's just that people aren't making them anymore.
Yeah, but I mean, to me, I do believe that there's a market for it.
If they're not making them, it's because they don't think there's a market for them. Or they don't think the market, they think the market... Like I shouldn't say that they don't think there's a market for it. That's incorrect, because there's every how many freaking battle royale games were made after the first success,
Yeah.
So maybe I'm incorrect on that.
We also have like these Pokemon Go games too.
Well, kind of what I'm saying is that I think, and I don't want to speak for James, but I view James as another strategy game fan, at least, and I know you are as well. I don't think if they made a Command and Conquer, I think it would technically be 5 or 6. If they made that, if EA put money into making that, if Blizzard put money into StarCraft 3 or Warcraft 4, if I don't even know who owns the rights to Supreme Commander.
But the other thing is, it's like when for my business, my personal business. People are like, "Who's your biggest?" When I'm trying to, hey, who's our biggest competitor? Well, Walmart,
Yeah.
the movies, the movie theaters, video games, television. Like they're gonna spend their money on something. Like, just because other insurance companies are not necessarily my biggest competitor. Does that make sense?
Well, a lot of
Yeah.
times they're just playing it safe. Like they see someone being successful and say, "We should do what they're doing." And then
Yes, and that right there is what I think is a hindrance to video games. I'm not saying that there aren't going to be games. Among Us is a successful video game right now. It has gained popularity. It's a 2-year-old game.
So I don't think it is a hindrance because the games that one person makes isn't going to affect the same game someone else makes unless they make the exact same game. Like
No, my issue is that the properties that I want to see games made for are owned by the companies that are looking to find the next Fortnite and not the next StarCraft 2, because StarCraft 2 is potentially a one-hit note. What I mean by that is I bought 3 games in StarCraft 2. I bought StarCraft 2, first one, the second one, and the third one. That's $60 each. That's math is not my strong suit, but so $180 I spent. I have probably spent thousands of dollars in Hearthstone. So when Blizzard says, "Do we make a StarCraft 3 or do we make a new Hearthstone game type, which is going to be announced Thursday, or a new Hearthstone expansion?" Where are they gonna put their resources?
Here's something interesting. The top people at Blizzard and Activision, they're gone, right?
Yes.
My awareness. So the people that had the passion to make interesting, fun new games, now it's just corporate people in suits. And
that is my issue.
But what are those people going to do? And then also there's like a gap too, right? Like maybe we just need a renaissance, I don't know, a resurgence of RTSs, but we need to wait a while until that happens, until people will be like, "Oh man, you know what? Let's make some RTS games."
Well, and RTS is one that hits personally. It hits close to home, but I do feel that the same way about other genres as well. Now that this is gonna, I know what. Well, I don't want to. I have an idea of what you might say, but I personally have. Aside from 2077, I haven't been looking forward to any single player game.
I personally don't really look forward to any games.
Oh, I would love. Now, I have never gone and played Assassin's Creed Odyssey, but I know I would like it if I played it. I just my personal time gets dedicated to games, but I want, I'm excited for Valhalla. I'll admit that. I'm not probably going to play that, but I feel like even the single player RPG is getting lost a little bit from where it was. Like, and I understand I'm comparing to giants here, but
okay, I want to hear your. I feel like the exact opposite in single player RPGs. So why do you feel like that's lacking? I feel like there's a huge amount of that.
Hold on a second. So PJ just said, "Well, guys, as a plus, I've just sat here listening to you for probably 30 minutes, and I'm not doing my things because you guys are that interesting. Good job."
That's good.
So the most recent single player RPG that I'm talking AAA that delivers high quality experience, in my opinion, is Odyssey, because the other games that I think of are years old at this point. And this isn't even my personal. So my wife, yeah.
What is? Are you talking about
Assassin's Creed Odyssey?
Oh, that's a single player RPG.
Yes.
And that's the crazy thing, dude. It's a single player, and for some reason they turned it into an RPG. They turned it into an RPG. Don't get me wrong, the game was amazing, but it was not an Assassin's Creed game. It could have been any other. It could have been a game. Like all they did was They made a game. Said let's make an Assassin's Creed themed game, because they wanted to be RPG, so that way they could monetize it. So that way they could get you to buy gold and get you to buy things that the things that make the game go faster, level up, experience boosts, and all that kind of stuff. Like Assassin's Creed is not supposed to be an RPG. That's not what it's about. But
how is this an RPG? Because
they remade it, but let me. My wife loves single player RPGs. That's all that she played previously.
She plays Assassin's Creed.
She loves Assassin's Creed Odyssey. One of the reasons that I still turn James stream on, but one of the reasons I don't play it and don't watch him play it is because I already know everything because I watch my wife play it. And that was that. Just walking by, and I would be like, I'd see her kill somebody, right? She'd have a conversation and be like, oh, all right, well, you're gonna die, and she'd kill them. I'd be like, why'd you kill that guy? And she'd be like, okay, so this guy did this guy, and she would just break it down for me. But so I want to be clear what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a Skyrim. I'm talking about a Mass Effect. I'm talking about a deep Witcher. Dragon Age. So this is why I think this, by the way. My wife, I've been with her for 4 years, and she loves single-player RPG. She plays the same ones over and over again. And because I introduced her to Odyssey a year and a half ago, it would have been a year. Yeah, it would have been a year and a half ago. And that entered into her rotation. But before that, she played through Dragon Age 100 times, Dragon Age Inquisition. She played through Witcher 3. She even went back and played some of the older Dragon Age games, like Dragon Age 2. She replayed through Fable. These are the types of games that she likes. She played
the new Fable game
countless.
Out, by the way.
Yeah, well, I understand that, but coming out. I mean, I'm talking the gap that I'm thinking of between Witcher 3, which is I would say successful RPG before Odyssey, and what we're about to get in 2077 and Valhalla. It's pretty big.
The top-rated game that's free, that's out right now, that's on New York subways all over the place, Genshin Impact. That's like
yes, but is it the game that you can name off any RPGs that you want. I'm not saying that RPGs aren't being made necessarily. I'm saying that the AAA RPGs that have the properties, meaning the Skyrim or the Elder Scrolls storylines, the Witcher storyline, the Dragon Age storylines, the Mass Effect storylines. Mass Effect Andromeda was a disaster. I don't know that Zelda is up the alley that
it plays like Skyrim and stuff.
No, I'm not. I understand that, and it's one that I would potentially should have introduced to her, but it's not a game that she's into. It's not a one that I'm into either. I'm not insulting that game in any way. I think it's a perfectly fine game. I'm sure I would enjoy it if I played it. It just the look, the feel, the idea, the story. I've never played a Zelda game. So again, not
the Zelda game is not like the other Zelda games. It's more like Odyssey than it is more like.
No, I absolutely agree. And we didn't have a DS until Pokemon came out, or not DS, but a Switch until Pokemon came out. So I should introduce her to that, and maybe she would play it. But she kept having to recycle these same games for the last since I've known her. I've seen her recycling.
Had to or chose to?
I mean, hold on. Let me just list out some games off the top of my head. I just want to go through these. So Zelda, Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest.
Final Fantasy.
The most recent one, 15. I don't know which one it is. Not the
Isn't
one.
That a multiplayer?
15.
Isn't that an MMO?
No,
that's 14.
13 or 14.
Yeah. Then the Obsidian games. So there are some with guns and some with swords. So like the gun ones, like Obsidian. I would even argue No Man's Sky is pretty kind of RPG-ish, but doesn't have any like storyline elements.
So and
then Genshin Impact just came out, and it's like Breath of the Wild, actiony, RPG.
I agree with James's point here.
Xenoblade Chronicles. I mean, I feel like I could just name a lot more too if I could just look it up.
No, I again, I'm not saying that those games don't exist. I'm saying that there's a neat, like, those may be RPGs. The role-playing game is very generic. I mean, I'm talking I'm talking about a Skyrim type game.
Yeah.
Or a Dragon Age or a Mass Effect type game that has
the games
well-acted, deep story with professional voice actors and AAA quality.
So here's something to think about. So when I was a kid, I remember Tomb Raider came out, the very first Tomb Raider, and I enjoyed it. I had a blast with it. The problem was they made Tomb Raider 2 and 3, and I was so looking forward to it. And this is gonna have like a two-prong thing. I was so looking forward to it because I enjoyed the first one so much. Well, I go to the Blockbuster, rent it, come home, and I'm like, I put it in, and I'm like, this is the exact same game. Like, there's no difference whatsoever. If I just wanted to play this game, I would just play the first one again, and I never played another Tomb Raider again. So they had a working formula, but for people like me, I wanted something, a new challenge. Like, there was nothing new to learn. So that's a blessing and a curse, because the problem is Assassin's Creed, they changed it so much that it's not even Assassin's Creed anymore. I'll still play every Assassin's Creed game that ever comes out because I'm a diehard fanboy with it, and I've loved the first 4 or 5 so much. But it's no longer Assassin's Creed, because they had to change it to keep me interested, but they changed it so much that I'm disappointed. So it's like a catch-22. Like, they're screwed no matter what. So does that make sense? Like, they were screwed. It does. They were screwed no matter what. And there's nothing. I have no idea how to fix it.
I had the PlayStation games too, like Spider-Man you mentioned, and then there's God of War, and
on the flip side to that though, James, is that my wife would never play an Assassin's Creed game until Odyssey, because that hit the niche that she liked.
Right.
So and I understand it's very niche and everything like that, but I guess what I'm referring to, and I haven't played these games so that you've listed, so I don't know what they're about. I don't know if they have these mechanics or whatnot, but I was super excited for Mass Effect Andromeda, and it was a huge disappointment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't care to look into it, so I don't get excited for games that are less. I think that's true for all those games. Like, if you look into a history, even if you look at history when you're excited about games, unless it's a Nintendo game, because Nintendo's amazing for some reason.
Yeah,
there are a lot of disappointments out there.
Yeah, but
I don't think it's a generational thing. I think it's like inside of history itself. It's always been like that, but we kind of have like a short-term memory for some things, because I believe that you're not going to remember like a terrible game, right? I mean, if you never played it. But you're going to remember something recent that people are talking about now.
Yeah. Well, I feel like the reason Fallout 76 happened.
And the successor to Fallout series is
people are
the
tired
Obsidian
of.
game.
There's a lot of people that they're just like tired of the whole pay to play. Like, I bought the game, and you want to. It's a $60 game, $100 game, $80 game, and you want me to pay for microtransactions? Like, people are not
the Outer Worlds. That's what it's called.
They're not happy with that shit anymore.
Yeah, and I mean I'm trying to think, because that's one of the reasons that Fallout 76 failed. But I think the reason that game got made in the first place is an attempt to monetize, because Fallout, other than DLCs, Fallout was pretty much you pay $60, you get your game, You probably play it 3 or 4 times. They don't get any extra money.
Okay, here's my counter though. I understand Fallout 76. I'm sure it's a terrible game. I've listened to lots of reviews and seen a lot of reviews, and the whole like 1 year, 1-up thing. It's like whatever. But the Outer Worlds, I will say, as a counter to Fallout, which was the original team that made, if I'm not wrong, Fallout New Vegas. So if you want to play a Fallout game,
no,
Outer Worlds came out last year.
Yes, no, I'm not saying that that's a great game, and I
really want to play that game so bad.
What I'm saying is that Fallout 76 was a huge contrast to any previous Fallout game.
Yeah, but you gotta look at the people that make the game. You can't just look at the studio. That's the problem that people have.
I'm not blaming the studio. I'm excited for Elder Scrolls 5 or 6. Like I'm excited for this WoW expansion that comes out in a little bit. Despite Blizzard's current track record, I'd love to see them get their name back. One of the reasons I loved Blizzard all the way back in the day was because they took 10 years to put Warcraft 3 out there. And I had a GameStop pre-order for Warcraft 3 at the GameStop in Riva, James. I'm sure you remember that one, at Riva Town Center.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember standing in line the night that it came out at midnight. And it was 2 years after it was supposed to come out because they weren't afraid. They wanted to make a quality product. And now Blizzard's name is Warcraft 3 Reforged, where they pumped out something that didn't deliver on any of their promises.
The people that made Blizzard good left.
Yes. I mean, those games are still being made. I agree with you there. Those games do not appeal to me. I don't play those very difficult games like a Souls game is what they're usually referred to by that community, right? I don't play this. Yeah. And I'm saying that I have properties that I'm invested in. I love Warcraft and StarCraft, right? I love Mass Effect.
So I agree with the fact that you're saying about the RTSs. I do think that I don't really see many out there, and I don't see many people making them, or even announcements for AAA studios, or even a studio that would release a AAA product, because I think, Fallout 76 is like a AAA game, but I don't think anybody would actually call it AAA. I would...
No, of course not. But I guess what I'm saying is, why was Fallout 76 made? Why did they take all their resources at Bethesda? Exactly. That is my point. They put their money into an ill-fated game that I think...
And don't play it.
I'm not... I haven't.
Play Outer Worlds.
My point is that the company that I want to make Elder Scrolls 6...
Hey, stop saying company. I said the people, not the companies who you have to follow.
So, but he's also invested in what he's saying is he's got a game that he's invested in, like Assassin's Creed. I'm gonna play Assassin's Creed because I love the world that they've built as much as I love the game. Like the world that they built and the lore behind it and all that kind of stuff is just as big of a part of the reason why I like it.
So here's the problem with that though. Well, there's a problem though.
I have a good way to word my point, because I feel like you're hearing what I'm saying, but you're not hearing what my point is. If people from Bethesda leave because of Bethesda and they go and they make the next Skyrim, that's awesome. But Bethesda chose to make, Bethesda the company, chose to make Fallout 76 instead of, and I understand that I don't know that for a fact, but regardless, that game came out before Elder Scrolls 6. So that's my point.
So you're saying
let him finish, bro. Let him finish.
In my opinion, they were looking to find a way to make Fortnite level money in order to fund an Elder Scrolls 6, because it's not going to bring them the kind of income that they want to get, because everyone knows that you can now make Fortnite money. I think the thing that is not understood is how great Fortnite level money is compared to what other companies were making from video games.
It's pretty crazy.
It's
insane.
Are you
it's
saying
kind of like how the movie industry is all chasing after Avengers, and these that style of movie came out. Movie studios had all started to find their universes. They tried to do the monster universe. The DC, obviously DC, there's a good reason that they tried to do that, but everybody tried to copy that. And I feel like the games industry, the corporate people, I'm not talking about the developers that are going out and making their own products. Great, please do more of that. I want that. I'm not knocking them. I'm knocking the big corporations who own the rights to the properties that I want more games in. I want more Elder Scrolls. I want more StarCraft. I want more Warcraft.
I think there's a problem. If I understand what you're saying, it's basically
Thank you, Broken Spanker.
You're not interested in the games or the genre. You're interested in that this thing got you into it, and you want to go for a ride as long as possible on it.
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong in me wanting to see a sequel to a game that ended with set up for a sequel.
I understand exactly what Kevin's saying, and I think, I don't necessarily agree with everything that he's saying, but I do understand what he's saying. But I do not understand what you're saying, Peter. Like, I'm not exactly sure what you're.
I think I understand. So, they're taking an IP and an IP that you love, and they're doing things with it that you don't enjoy. Is that the issue that you have?
Well,
like that.
You're gonna get way blown out of whack as soon as I tell you that I've never played a Fallout game. I'm talking about the concept of Fallout 76 more than anything else.
Well, I feel like property, the IP.
I feel like they made Fallout 76, Bethesda themselves, instead of the company, instead of making another single-player experience, they went for a multiplayer cash grab experience that did not pan out, and if anything, hurt their reputation.
The company that had the developers make it, when they bought it out, went for the cash grab in the first place, because when they, as their publisher and owner of the rights, they always want to make as much money as possible, which is why developers are having issues. They go off and do their different thing.
Yeah.
That's why I say for all the people, and it's unfortunate that they can't take their IP with them.
Yes.
But that's just the reality of
and that's what's frustrating. Yes. No, and I totally get that, and that's what's frustrating me. My frustration is with the corporation behind video games. That's my point. That's been what this was all about. I have no issues with the developers. I have no issues with people quitting and going and doing their own thing, and creating an IP very similar to the one that I love. I will play that game. I will enjoy that game. But
I would say that if it's a concern that people that are money grubbing are taking this in a way to be money grub, and it upsets you because it detracts from the original vision, that I would suggest to invest yourself into intellectual properties that are developer published and developer run.
For how long?
Just ignore.
But I guess how long until they sell? How long until they end up until they become owned by EA, or by Activision? Just like, because Blizzard was that for me. Blizzard, like I just said, Blizzard took 2 extra years to put out Warcraft 3 to deliver a perfect game. And at the time, I would have argued that it was a perfect game for the era. I loved Warcraft 3. I played the campaign 100 times, multiplayer 100 times. You know, that to me, and this is just my opinion, was an amazing experience for me, right? And then now they belong to Activision, and their reputation is tarnished. Because they're pumping out half-assed games, or they're trying to monetize game. You know, they're going in routes that I think we could both agree are not a good idea.
Yeah, I think it's sad, and I don't like to see that. But at the same time, to feel so attached to something like that isn't a good thing, because you need to attach. It's important to attach yourself to things that have meaning, for that people respect that attachment. And a lot of these companies aren't respecting the attachment people have. They respect the money that people give.
Yes.
And I agree that it's a bad thing, but
I guess
the whole is just like there's so much out there. There's so much good out there that you have to see that. And
there is.
Over's bad.
There is, and I do see it. Among Us is a prime example of a. I don't know the developers that made it, but I would assume since they're selling it for $5, they're probably a relatively independent video game,
Right.
creator. So I get that, and I love that. But my thing is that what I'm afraid is going to happen, because money is the key behind all of this. Let's say that you take the guys that did Warcraft 3 that have been working for Blizzard, and they were on all these different Blizzard projects. Let's say all those guys left right now, and they probably left years ago, but let's say they all left right now, and they want to go make Warcraft 4 but with a new IP, right?
Mhm.
Where's the funding for them to be able to make something that looks as good as StarCraft 2, or are they going to make a successor to Warcraft 4 with Among Us graphics?
Well, it depends what you're talking about. These are experienced developers, so if they have experience with different tools and things like that, and it's getting easier and easier to make games, so it's possible to do things like that. And they could be self-funded because if they're developers and they're high in the prime, they could have saved funding away or set it away, or they could find write their own contracts.
They could do a Kickstarter. They could
Kickstarter.
Or
they
true.
Like it's one like the funding. Like, where's the funding supposed to come from? Where did the funding originally come from when they made their first game? You start small, you grow big.
A lot of times they get from a publisher. They give them money, and then they give away their rights.
If there's a will, there's a way. But it's not up to. It's not. Like, here's one thing. So, like, when people complain, like, I'm probably gonna get a bunch of shit for this. So when people complain, like, oh, this person wrote this book or made this movie and they didn't put enough people in it that I wanted. They didn't put enough people of color. They didn't put enough women in it. It was a male dominated thing. I'm like, well, shit, if that's what you want, then you fucking write it. Like, if that's the game that you want, you fucking make it.
Sometimes they end up whitewashing things, like Crazy Rich Asians. Everybody that they went to, as I understand, wanted white people in it, and she was like, no, I don't want. It's about Asian people, not about white people.
Like
that kind of does cultural appropriation. Does happen.
Hold on. Let me finish, bro. Let me finish. I'm in the middle of a word. So, like Stephen King. Stephen King would be a great example. Stephen King wrote basically like most of his inspiration. It's always the same setting. It's always a small town Maine. Like, because he wrote what he knew. And so when he was growing up, guess what? He had that one black friend. That's why in every God Bless the Stephen King movie, there's the one black friend, because there was even less black people in America back then than there are now. There was, I think it's grown from 8% when he was a kid to now it's like 12%. So that token character, a lot of people had one black friend because that's all that was in their town. So cultural appropriation, I know.
We're way talking about something different. So, we've gone down some rabbit holes here.
So what I'm getting at, Kevin, is if you want that game made, like if there's something that you want something and it doesn't exist,
because they have the rights.
No, if you want something, well, okay, the IP, but he's talking about having different IP. Like, if in a lot of ways, it's like I depend on other people to make video games for me because I'm not going to take the time to learn how to make freaking video games.
Yeah.
So
that's
but we do vote with our dollar.
Absolutely.
That's
I believe in that, and
I don't believe in that.
I guess my point is that in my analogy I used earlier, where the guys that made Warcraft 3 leave Blizzard, start their own company. Can they make a Warcraft 4 that is up to today's standards in enough time to be able to be a profitable company at the same, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know enough about game design, and I will fully admit that. I'm just talking about my perspective because nobody's gone and done that yet. And
Done what?
made. You even started to say earlier that they would have to, like, if you look at Blizzard's history, right? I think they started with like Lost Vikings and games like that. Those games
Holy crap!
them,
I forgot about that one.
Those games made them enough money that they could then do their next project that was in, and then they made Warcraft 1. And we all know what Warcraft 1 looked like, and I'm not saying that it didn't cost any less back then, but I feel like it's safe to say that people aren't making video games right now on the same budget that they had to make Warcraft 1. But then they made Warcraft 2. It looked a little bit cleaner, a little bit better. And then they made Warcraft 3, which was just a huge jump. But
the first 3D game.
The money that funded that was from Warcraft 1, Warcraft 2, StarCraft 1, Diablo, and their other IPs that, So if the guys that made Warcraft 3 left, like in my analogy, Blizzard right now, they left. And they say we want to make Warcraft 4 that has today's standards for games. If they were to do that, they'd have to start making Among Us level games in order to get to that point. Mm-hmm. So me as the consumer, when am I going to get the Warcraft 4 that I want? Is Blizzard going to finally get off their ass and make it? Or do I got to wait 10 years for that developer to get caught up financially and be able to afford to create that AAA level game that I want? Okay. That's my point. That's what this is about. The companies that have the resources to make the AAA games that I want are not making the AAA games that I want. That's and that's a selfish thing. That's me. That's Kevin talking. I'm not speaking for the community. I'm not speaking for
I speak for the trees
or you, James. I'm speaking for me and telling you my perspective of video games right now. Are there RPGs being made right now? Absolutely. Are they ones I'm interested in? No. Is that my fault? Absolutely.
But I still IP. I don't know. It doesn't feel.
Yeah. No, you're saying I'm admitting that I'm wrong.
I'm admitting
that I'm wrong, but I want exactly. Like I'm just your argument is that I need to change what I want, but if I want to eat Chinese food and there's no Chinese food near,
I don't think you need to change what you want. I think you need to understand the basics of what you want out of those games and then look for them else in other places. It's still there. You still have the video games. You can keep playing them, and there are probably people.
And I go back and I play them. Yeah.
And that's okay.
My wife played. I watched her play through a whole playthrough from start to finish of Skyrim, and then she played a whole playthrough of Dragon Age Inquisition. All these games are old. Then she played Witcher 3.
Don't say that.
Then I introduced her to Odyssey, and then when she finished Odyssey, she went back and played another Skyrim. And so Odyssey got added into her rotation. Now you have to understand, there's a niche that she within the RPG that RPGs games that she likes. And the games you're listing off, they might satisfy that, but on the surface they don't. I tried to introduce many games to her. You guys have tried to introduce many games to me in this conversation.
I mean, what about the ones that I mentioned? You said you didn't even hear of them. I don't know how you could say that you tried to do it when.
No, I tried to introduce her to other games. I tried to get her to play Divinity with me. I tried to get her. She plays WoW now because that has scratched the itch.
She didn't like Divinity?
She did not, because it wasn't the play style that she was interested in. She tried to play Diablo. It wasn't the play. Again, you're criticizing her for being like she's entitled.
No, that's fine. I'm just trying to figure out like what.
We're entitled to like the things that we like and dislike the things that we dislike. And the games that I like and the way that they're produced and the stories and everything, I personally haven't found something that qualifies that. Now you, and I know this because you're constantly throwing out new games like that one shooter I saw you guys play.
Get these clowns off our planet.
You guys played it a couple weeks ago. I don't remember the name of it.
Not Rogue Company.
No, it was a not single player. It was almost Destiny-ish. And it had a bit of you guys were fighting a dragon with guns.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Remnant from the Ashes.
Yeah, Remnant. Yeah. That it looked like a perfectly fine game, fun, whatever, but it just didn't appeal to me, and so there are games out there that and should I broaden my horizons? Absolutely. I'm saying that I'm wrong, but at the same time, I'm still a consumer, and there are things that I would like to see from the games industry. And I've already said this too. If somebody made a game that was exactly what I expected out of a Warcraft 4 title, which is an RTS title, if somebody made that right now, and somebody told and you came into Discord and said, Kevin, there's a game out there that is an RTS. It plays like what I expect Warcraft 4 would play. I would go and try it. I'm not saying no to those. The RPG argument is more for my wife than me, and she is saying no to those. And that's you feel free to have that conversation with my wife because I lose it every time. So but the game that I want, which is a Warcraft 4 or a StarCraft 3 title, no one who's making that.
Well,
the most recent strategy game title.
I'm pretty sure I said that no one is, and I've agreed to that.
Yeah, and that's
that
as
sucks.
a consumer who exactly, it sucks. That's what I'm saying. The what I want to play isn't being made. And am I complaining? Absolutely. But
you have a right to complain because that's just you're part of the market group that's willing to play it. So that I think people have a right to say I want to play this kind of game.
Yeah.
Even if they have no intention of making it.
My opinion is that the reason those games are not being made is because the AAA companies that would make them don't see as much of a profit in them versus a loot box style game or something along those lines. Games as a service is something that gets thrown out a lot.
And I argue against that because there are a lot of games out there that are being made that aren't games as a service.
By the
Nintendo,
AAA developer.
Yeah, I would consider Obsidian AAA.
What does Obsidian mean?
Oh, that's the company that made the Outer Worlds and.
No. There are companies out there doing that stuff. I'm not discrediting that, but if you were to compare Obsidian's, I don't know if they're publicly traded or not, but compare them to EA on a financials. I mean, they're still small in comparison.
I would argue that don't look at financials, look at the excellence of the game itself. Like I'm
not knocking the game.
Like you could compare Fallout 4 to the Outer Worlds just fine.
I'm saying what could Obsidian do with EA's budget is what I'm saying. They could probably have done a lot more. And then that's saying and it would have been even better than what they did make. They made a great game.
I don't know if that's true because too many chefs spoil the kitchen kind of thing. Like, yeah, but what about the leadership? What about the potential? I mean, if these teams are small and they're doing these things and you're like, well, what if they had 10 times the size? Well, it's like, can you get the same quality of people 10 times?
How many games do you think Obsidian will make in the Outer Worlds with the Outer Worlds IP before it ends up getting owned by EA or Microsoft?
I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. I don't think it's going to happen.
Not anytime soon. It took years and years before.
It'd be a 20-year.
Well, Activision already owned Blizzard. Like they already were stuck with them by the time they were making like the StarCrafts and the Warcrafts.
I don't know about that.
I'm pretty sure that they were already like when they were making Warcraft 1 and StarCraft and Diablo, they were already stuck selling off their IP.
2008 is when Activision merged with Vivendi Game, culminating in the inclusion of Blizzard.
Well, that's Vivendi. I mean, you could even argue
Vivendi owned Blizzard, and then Vivendi basically got merged with Activision.
So you could argue whenever they made the deal with the devil would be Vivendi, or whatever was before that if they got bought out, Does that make sense?
No, yeah, I'm looking up when Vivendi bought Blizzard. What? That doesn't make sense. All right, I'd have to do more research into it, but
before 2009. So
I'm saying that Look, there are independent, there are up and coming companies that are making AAA games. I get it.
I think
Or I
up and coming
don't
is
know
bad.
about triple.
I would say up and coming is bad because these are already experienced game developers that have left. And to say that the studio is up and coming, yes, but I think it's kind of a misnomer because these people are experienced and they know what they're doing and they know.
No, I get. Yeah, I'm not trying to insult them, man. I'm saying that.
I don't think he's taking it as I don't think he's trying to say that they're being insulted. I don't think he's trying to say that. Yeah.
I mean, I think the last game I played that I really enjoyed that was an RTS was Warhammer 2. It came out.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's
that was a while ago.
Yeah,
and they made
exactly.
Warhammer 3, and they made it different, and I hated it because they made it like StarCraft instead of like Warhammer.
Oh, wait a minute. What are you talking about?
They made it so that the units were selected individually instead of like being part of a group, and then the heroes.
Okay, you're talking about Dawn of War.
Talking about Warhammer Dawn of War 3, yeah.
Yeah, no. Dawn of War 3 was another disappointment for strategy fans. The most recent strategy game that I've been excited for was the steampunk game. I'm trying to is it Iron Harvest?
That's coming out in 2020.
No, that's already out. Yeah, Iron Harvest 1920. Yeah, that came out a couple months ago. I haven't played it yet. I've been playing other things, but the reviews and everything are saying it's good. You know, a Company of Heroes style game with a cool lore and backstory. It's steampunk-ish, and yeah, you know, that's from a developer King Art game. You know, that are they a Blizzard? Are they a Activision? Are they an EA? No. You know.
I mean, they could be. You just gotta look at who the publisher is.
Publisher was King Art Games and Deep Silver. And this is another game that I applaud because they took years for it to come out. They kept pushing back the release date, and I'm okay with that.
Wasn't that a Deep Silver game you played, James?
I have no idea what you're referring to, honestly.
Yeah, Remnant.
Oh.
They made Pathfinder Maker.
There are some. I'm not knocking all AAA developers. When I say AAA, I'm talking about the big companies that have multiple IPs and hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars. I'm talking about EA. I'm talking about.
Yeah, but those games aren't even that good. Like, you can't even. It's weird to say, like, well, the money, because the money obviously doesn't matter because their games are still crap. It's just they have a lot.
That's my frustration.
I would say don't trust Pandora's lies.
What?
It's just like Final Fantasy Mega 64 reference. That's why I say you gotta look at the developers and look at where they're going, and ignore the PR, ignore the marketing, and just find out why you're excited about the game. And I would say if you look at the people, and the people leave, the game's probably not going to be good. You can look at the same thing with movies, Marvel movies, like Ant-Man and Thor 2. They sucked because the people directing them left midway because the director, they were having beef with them and they didn't want to do what their vision was. So those movies sucked. And the other movies like Ragnarok and, you know, Guardians of the Galaxy were awesome because they let those people do their vision. Same thing with video games. If you see the people that are making these games, follow them. And then if they leave, I would say I would not hold out for whatever that company is using, because the company wants to make you think, Roadblock. You're falling for their game, okay? The company wants you to think that the IP, the intellectual property, is a reason why it's good, not because of the developers who made it.
I'm not saying that, though. I'm not saying that it's good. I'm saying it's a... I'm trying to find a way to I feel like I'm not coming across. Like, I'm not saying the IP is what made the game good. I'm not saying that the company is what made it. I just want to know more about the story that I'm invested in. We talked about Stephen King earlier. Stephen King wrote a series of novels that were all linked together and connected. Yeah,
we know about disappointing stories. I'm pretty sure all of us saw the last two seasons of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I want to see the characters or even new characters. Like you don't understand. Like, I don't read, but I've read WoW history and lore.
Pretty sure you read a couple books then.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like I went out of my way. Like, I don't read on a regular basis. I've read, as far as actual novels go, I've read 3, and they were all Halo novels.
Imagine being a Star Wars fan and reading the extended universe, and then Disney got a hold of it.
I read one book. I read half of one book in the extended. No, I read 1.5 books of the EU. By the way, if you like the extended universe, there's a game I want to recommend to you before I go to bed.
And I will still say too that it shouldn't discount, even if the company discounts it, it shouldn't discount your experience that you've had with that property.
Yeah, I'm not saying that anything's discounted by not getting a StarCraft 3 or a Warcraft 4. I'm just saying that as a gamer and a consumer, the itch that I have is not being scratched by anybody. It doesn't exist. And my opinion is that the companies that have the IPs and the capability to make those games are not doing it in favor of pleasing their corporate overlords and their shareholders.
I would almost argue that they don't have the capability because they're blinded by whatever it is that didn't make the company what it is now.
Agreed. I wish Blizzard could be free of Activision and go back to and even if I had to wait 10 more years for a new game to come out by Blizzard, I would prefer that. I mean, that's just that's I want more developers like Obsidian, like you talked about. I want more of that
for RTSs,
for anything.
Then we're going back full circle.
I really do want that. And that's
look, for RTSs. Look, James, I need you to moderate here because I feel like we just went full circle.
Are you saying because I was saying that I wasn't looking at any of their RPGs?
Yes.
Okay, understand that I'm when it comes to RPGs, I'm not. I was making that argument third party for my wife. She has a particular set of She has a particular style that she likes video games to be, and if they don't meet that, then she won't play them. And I don't agree with that. But let's get away from RPGs for a second. Fine, we'll stick with RTSs if it will keep you from so I don't break you.
No, but I agree with RTSs. I don't know. Play Iron Harvest and tell me how it is.
No, I think Iron Harvest. I have a feeling I would love that game, just like I loved Company of Heroes, and I know they've announced a Homeworld 3 finally, but that's probably years in development. I loved the Homeworld Shipbreaker. I forget what it was called. It wasn't called Shipbreakers.
Shipbreakers?
Ship with a P.
Shipbreakers.
So also, I know my brother's actually huge into RTSs. I'm not. I mean, I love. Don't get me wrong. I love those games, but they're just too stressful for me, like I've mentioned.
Yeah,
but he likes We Are Billions. Not a story or anything, but
yeah, no, but that looks like a great strategy game. I've watched people play it, but it's not in this. It's not.
Definitely not AAA.
No,
and it's not a traditional art. See, that's the problem. RTS and strategy games in general have multiple.
I know that keeps coming up.
If you were to compare Warhammer 2, StarCraft, those are different styles.
Another bleeding edge technology discovered.
I'm talking about a building produces unit. You make multiple units, and then you take those units and kill someone's base. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about Warcraft and StarCraft and Command and Conquer and Iron Harvest and Company of Heroes. All those games play that way. They Are Billions doesn't. And that's why I never got into it. There's another great strategy game that I loved. Hang on, it's on my list here. Oh man, I wish I could. There's so many games on my list, but
You know what? You know we haven't seen any Heroes of Might and Magic.
Hey, real quick. Kind of curious.
RimWorld.
Hey, the Colossus. Have you gotten to the point where you ever make a Colossus, Kevin, in this game?
Is that a... What is...
The world killer, the one that can destroy planets.
No, you're over my head now.
Wow. Well, shit. I just realized.
Oh wait, did you? You came across a Colossus?
No. I made one. Built one myself. But the problem is, I didn't realize it has no weapons. It just destroys planets. It does not fire. And I'm like, son of a bitch. It took me so long to build this damn thing.
And you're about to lose it to a fleet?
Lose it to a stupid little fleet because I was like, it's fucking badass. It's a Colossus.
You didn't like have it with any other fighters?
No, my dumbass thought it was a badass. I cannot retreat for 55 more days and it's gonna die.
Hey James, that's too damn bad.
That's too damn bad.
Homeworld Deserts of Karak was the game I was talking about. It started as a game called Shipbreakers by people who originally worked on Homeworld, and they were starting a new property. And then that was loosely based on the games they made before. And then the company they got the rights to develop it as a Homeworld game, so they made it Homeworld Deserts of Karak. And it is a phenomenal strategy game, and that came out years ago. Either way, I guess my point just is that I want Bethesda to make Elder Scrolls 6. I want Blizzard to make StarCraft 3 or Warcraft 4. I don't think they'll ever make Warcraft 4 because you'd have to discontinue WoW at that point. But, I want Supreme Commander 3. And even if it was, because Supreme Commander itself was a pseudo remake of Total Annihilation.
I mean, it is. I think it pretty much is Total Annihilation.
Yeah, and so I don't care about the IP. I just no one's making the games that I want to play.
Something.
I agree with you.
Yeah, and but what you don't agree with me about is the reason why. And my reasoning is that they're doing it because it's more profitable to make Hearthstone and develop Hearthstone because they're making millions off it.
I disagree that because of the state of what people are doing with other genres and going off and doing their own thing and being successful.
Do you believe that a company making an RTS
Booyah! Enemy planet
would be able to
incorporated.
make... I'm trying to find my words here, but... Do you think an RTS would be as profitable as Fortnite or Hearthstone?
Of course not. Why? Why would you even ask that question? I mean, like, why? What goal does that bring you? So what if they don't make as much money from it? Then if they're successful in their own right, why isn't that enough?
It is enough for me, but is it enough for the corporations that are and their shareholders?
People are going to be making RTSs anyway. Like I told you, like the people that left these big studios that are chasing the dollar and are making their own thing that are fun and people are giving rave reviews about. Those kind of people could be making the RTSs. They don't exist for that genre, but they exist for plenty of other genres. Like, it's a niche. I mean, I can't say anything. Like, I don't know what these people are, what their visions are. Or, like, maybe they want to do something different or they're tired of RTSs. Like, I don't know. Like, people just aren't making them. And if there's a gap in that market, so to speak, like, why that should be indicative of everything. It's just indicative of a specific event. I mean, it sucks that they're not making RTSs because you like those kinds of games, but at the same time, you can't say that the whole entire video game industry is in a depression of fun because there are these other genres, tons of different genres, not just like one or two, but like dozens of genres that are indie.
I guess maybe
that are not chasing the dollar, that are not blocked by microtransactions, that are doing really well.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that none of those I have no issues with. My issues are with mainstream games right now.
And they should be. They should be everybody's issue. Because they don't.
Okay, then I
make quality
think my
content.
point was misspoken or misunderstood because that is my issue. I have no issues with these independent developers. My issue is with when I say AAA, I'm talking about the big companies, the big EA, Activision. You know, and my issues are with them. I understand there are other people out there that are making
they
video
suck.
games.
Their
They're
money's
making
up. They're
great video
greedy.
games. Exactly.
They prey on addiction.
Exactly. I want them to stop.
They prey
I
on
want
kids
them to.
stealing their mother's credit card. Like, yeah, it sucks. It should stop. We should have laws against it, like loot boxes too.
Amen.
What I'm saying is I want and 27.7 hasn't come out yet. It could bomb, but I don't think
What's
it's going to.
2077?
Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk.
20.
Gotcha.
Even if it's a crappy game, I still don't think it's gonna bomb.
Yeah, exactly.
They put so much marketing and hype on it. I mean, did Andromeda bomb? It had a lot of hype. I know people hated it, but did it?
People hate it, but I guess that's what I mean. There's, you know what? Andromeda could have been a financial success based on all the pre-orders.
They put The Witcher.
Whatnot, but
They put The Witcher 3 and all the DLC content on a goddamn Switch. Okay.
All right.
If they can do that, they can do anything.
yeah, I respect that studio, and they, you know, given the hype and everything, I consider that to be a AAA.
You want to know what's funny is that the PUBG on mobile runs better on a phone than it does on a computer.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
This wasn't even made by the same people. PUBG runs slow crap and it crashes, but on a phone it's as smooth as butter.
Wow.
Fortnite's smooth as butter too on a phone as well.
I tried PUBG and when it first came out and I couldn't get it to load. I gave up on it eventually.
So you like Star Wars Expanded Universe, right?
I'm not a Star Wars fan, but I do love the space games.
Well, have you ever played Empire at War?
Yes, I have.
Did we talk about this at all yet, James?
Is that like what Rebellion was based off of? Or Rebellion was before then?
We have not.
Well, no, Empire at War is let me Google when it came out, but it's, I mean, we're talking.
Whoa, where'd this army come from? Fuck.
Oh yeah, this was like, I thought this is what Rebellion's evolution was going to be, and I didn't.
2006.
Now look up Star Wars Rebellion. I mean, it's not an RTS. It's a strategy game.
The only thing that comes up for me is a board game.
Yeah, they made a board game. Don't you see the images on the right though?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, that's what it is.
But Star Wars Empire at War, it's a game in 2006. It's got the mods right now for it it's a strategy game. It's one of the few strategy games where it's a space strategy game that also incorporates ground battle. There are several different mods for it, but the one that I play is called Awakening of the Rebellion. And it is phenomenal. They have completely reworked ground combat, space combat. They've incorporated all the ships from the EU, characters from the EU. I know Thrall is technically not an EU character anymore, but he was at the time. And that is a game that is definitely one I would love to watch James play. Now, as a mod, it is.
I did not care for it. You're talking about the one from like 10 years ago?
No, 2006.
Another bleeding edge technology.
So more than 10 years ago.
They did not. This game never received. Oh no, they made an expansion.
So more than 10 years ago.
More than 10 years ago. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's not so much that I didn't care for it. It was fucking hard, dude. That game was fucking hard. On easy, I was getting my ass kicked, man.
Okay.
The base game, I am not sure that you would have gotten your ass kicked. I'm worried we might be talking about a different game.
Okay, hold on. Let me pull it up on Steam.
It is a game where you make, like, you build armies and fleets.
Star Wars. Yeah, I know. Star Wars Empires at War Gold Pack. That's the one I had. That thing
Yeah.
kicked my fucking ass, dude. I played that game for 8 hours and had to restart. I restarted. Like I just couldn't keep up with it, or maybe I was expecting to not ever lose a planet. And I was like, I keep losing fucking planets.
Who'd you play as? Do you remember?
I do not remember.
Yeah, there were some. So like, if
The
you played
Alliance
as
side, probably.
yeah, I mean they tried to keep it authentic, right? So if you played as the
Found some
rebellion,
enemies.
the Empire would have a large fleet, right? And they would come in and take a planet. But it's not the end of the world if they take a planet. And you would have to go up against that fleet with like fighters and stuff, right? But your fighters were very powerful, so you would clear their fighters and then take out their subsystems and kill their ships.
Because X-wings have shields and TIE fighters don't.
Yeah.
Well, not certain TIE fighters. Most TIE fighters don't.
But the base game was great. The mod though has completely changed. The mod made it a lot harder, which is why I'm curious that they had such a hard time. But yeah, you do lose planets in that game, and it's not the end of the world if you do. You just go take them back. There's multiple fronts, and one thing that sucks too is like I used to play as the Empire. Empire was my favorite way to play that game. It's the only time I ever did a complete playthrough and won the game, because you can build the Death Star in it, and instead of having a ground battle to take the planet, you could just blow it up. So I literally just went around and blew up all the Rebellion planets with my Death Star.
Did you lose loyalty or anything?
It wasn't a 4X game in that sense. It was just a straight kill 'em game. So the object was to control all the planets in the game. If you destroyed the planet, it turned into an asteroid field. If it was an asteroid field, you could take it over with just space unit, and then you would build to hold it. You would build a space station to hold it, and then you could move your fleet away from it. So I didn't need a ground army. All I needed was a space army to support the Death Star. And so I just moved the Death Star from system to system and blew them up.
Yeah, so I didn't like that game because I played Rebellion, and there was like its predecessor. And Rebellion was a lot more in depth. Like you could build a Death Star, and redo research and development for different stuff.
You couldn't build a Death Star as the Rebellion?
No, in the game Rebellion. This
Oh.
And if you blow up a planet, you lose loyalty from everybody, and if you lose loyalty, they start rebelling. Like they start rioting and stuff. And you have to use politics to quell them. You have to like send ambassadors over to like transfer them over to your system. You have people that were potentially force sensitive and they go on quests on their own. Like
you might like the mod pack then. So in the mod, in that game there were very basic quests like, oh, go capture this planet. In the base game. In the mod, they've developed all kinds of different events and sequences and things like that. Like, first of all, it uses planets from the real universe. That original game made up the expanded universe didn't exist, so they made up a lot of stuff. And like the layout of the galaxy was just a big circle instead of being divided up the way that it is. But yeah, in the mod, like I have taken I captured a planet Stellaris. And because I captured that planet, I received a ship that was a hero unit. And then they give me intel to take another planet next to it. And if I take that planet, then 2 other planets will rebel, and I'll get them for free because they saw their neighboring planet join the rebellion, so now they want to join the rebellion type. It has mechanics like that in game. Like there's a mission to take Mon Mothma, so she starts on Hoth, and there's a mission for me to take her all the way up to Mon Cala, which is on the other side of the galaxy. If I take her there, then the planet Mon Cala will start creating free capital class ships and things like that. But getting her there is difficult because I have a very small ragtag fleet to start.
A ragtag band of bandits.
What was interesting in Rebellion was that you had this galaxy, and if you were the rebels, Mon Martha had a homeworld ship that you could actually fly to different systems. And as the Empire, you wanted to figure out where that ship was and destroy it. Whereas the Empire, you were on Coruscant, and you have a bigger fleet and stuff, but if the rebels somehow managed to defeat Coruscant and take it over, then they win the game. But the Empire had to find out where the enemy, a moving enemy base was, to capture them. It was like it was really weird too. It was a lot of micromanaging with like shipyards and stuff, but
yeah, no, this is. Well, I think James and I have had this conversation before. What I got out of Empire War was less of a 4X satisfaction and more of a. It's why I like Stellaris over Civ.
This tech head
because watching the combat in Civ versus watching the combat in Stellaris, I have more fun. Like, there's actually a button in Empire at War that you can press, and it looks like the what do they call those clickers that they do at the beginning of when they start to film, and they're like blah blah blah, take one, and they clap the thing together. Anyways, it looks like that. If you click it, the game will go into cinematic mode, and the camera will shift to several classic Star Wars camera angles. So it'll zoom out and kind of do like a wide view, right? And you'll get to watch the battle take place. Then it'll zoom in and follow behind a X-wing as it flies underneath the Star Destroyer and loops back up upside down and starts to shoot a TIE fighter. The camera will then shift again to underneath the Star Destroyer, the classic opening scene from A New Hope where the Star Destroyer flies over top of the camera. Stuff like that. And that to me is just fun. I just send my ships at each other, click cinematic view, and just...
Very cool. Cinematic view is a lot of fun.
That's the other thing I used to love about Homeworld. Homeworld is the ultimate space game for me. And I loved because the camera controls on that were so good. You could zoom all the way in to a single fighter and get it to be the full size of your screen. And you could lock the camera in behind it and just watch this one fighter in a battle of capital ships and bombers and fighters and frigates, and just immerse yourself in this. And I always loved stuff like that. I'm excited for Homeworld 3 whenever
Rebellion had something like that too, interestingly enough, as old as it was.
Did you know that my internal power core
I feel like Rebellion is like the precursor of
TNT in the event of
like
a
this
catastrophic
4X,
overload.
like major AAA like stuff, but nobody knows about it or talks about it.
What game is this?
Star Wars Rebellion. Like a lot of people, that's like the same age as like X-Wing versus TIE Fighter when Star Wars games were so.
Yeah, no, it's like I don't want to say DOS but it looks like a early.
Yeah, it was I think it was after DOS because I remember you could play it on like MSN games like with MechWarrior and stuff like that.
Yeah, so it looks like the battles maybe were more, rather than cinematic, they were more like risk type. Like you had 17 worth of units. They had.
You couldn't control 15. Them. You kind of went at it.
Exactly. Yeah. See, for me in Empire at War, I can actually control, especially with the new version. Okay, I can see the combat now. I finally found one that shows combat. But that's what I love about Empire at War is that I can. There's subsystem targeting and things like that. So like. You get missions, right? I mentioned that. So there's a mission where there's a Kyber crystal transport. If I kill the Kyber crystal transport, I'll get 7,000 credits. Well, credits are so difficult to come by in early game that you do every one of those missions. Well, that Kyber crystal transport has an escort. So what I'll do is I'll take a fleet of fighters, and I'll just find that ship in the fleet, send my fighters in, have them destroy that ship, and then retreat out. A very guerrilla warfare tactic, which is what a rebellion would use, right? And that's something that's in the mod that was not in the base. So much fun. I have there's a streamer, and he's James. I think you would love him. He's. We were talking earlier about the definition of a success as a streamer, versus be a ninja, or I have a buddy of mine, HC Justin. He has maybe 300 views every time I check him out, and it's his full-time job. So he's making enough to be, is it what you're making? No, but he's making enough. Him and his girlfriend both stream. They're both partners, and they make enough to be able to, he gets sponsored. People will sponsor him to play their game for an hour, stuff like that. So he's making it work, and I played Counter-Strike with him all the way back in the day during the ECE days, and
Our troops
now he's
just
all
hit enemy soil
making a
running.
living streaming. But
Heck yeah, man.
I was going somewhere with this. Oh, the guy I like, his name is Captain Shaq. He's a very I view him as another wholesome kind of content creator. He's not very negative on his streams and stuff, but he does the XCOM community campaign thing that I tried to do. He does Stellaris playthroughs. He does Empire at War playthroughs.
Have you played Phoenix Point? Speaking of XCOM.
I did, and I did not enjoy it. I couldn't get past the first couple missions.
I felt like it needed a lot of polish. If it had it, it would be pretty good.
Yeah, I did really like. I really liked XCOM Chimera Squad. I never finished it, but I did enjoy it.
I didn't play that.
It was not what I expected.
A lot of people say it was really good.
It was, but it was not an X. I mean, it was an XCOM game, but it didn't play like an XCOM game because they changed.
Oh, you know what the Long War is? The XCOM mod?
Yes. I played that, and it.
They're making their own game.
I lost. Nice. See, I love that kind of stuff. I do. That's a strategy game that I want more of. I want more XCOM games.
Like a tactical game, then.
Yeah, fair enough.
RTS. I mean, it's kind
not
of like
RTS,
Divinity.
but I still like. Yes, no, and then I would love to see more Divinity games too. I would love to see a multiplayer XCOM game, to be honest. I thought about doing a playthrough of XCOM with people in chat with me, sharing my screen, telling me where they want me to move their character. But that's way too convoluted.
Way too convoluted.
Oh, dang. I think they're coming out with this soon. A game. Oh, man. What was it called?
All right, so this is the Empire War mod, and this is the streamer who I don't think he's a full-time streamer, but he creates a lot of content, so he definitely has time to be able to do it. I don't know, take that as you will, but this is the first episode that he just started of his playthrough in Star Wars Awakening of the Rebellion. He's playing as the Empire in this playthrough. I just tagged you guys in it in the Promote Your Bad Self channel. But he does really cool editing at the start. Like, it starts with him giving like a captain's log type thing. And throwing in clips and stills of planets and things like that, and some of the combat and stuff. But I really like his production value. But this will give you, even if you just fast forward to like 18-minute mark, you'll see him using the cinematic view, and you'll see the Star Destroyers and coming in to destroy this tiny little space station.
Let me see here. YouTube.
Oh yeah, this is them. The people that made the Longmore mods for XCOM.
He
and
made
XCOM
a
2.
movie
These
out
events
of, or
were
a
coming
TV
from-
kind of like Red versus Blue, using. Is this what he's doing?
A mile away.
That's just the start.
Could've
He does
seen the direction the galaxy
intros,
was
so he
going,
creates a
right with the
storyline
compact.
in his playthrough. So like, you know that XCOM community thing I was talking about? He did one like that, and so he would open it up with a captain's log.
Wow.
And he
We've
would show
really hit
clips
this
from the
tech
previous
out of the
episode
ballpark.
of people dying, and and he'd be like,
Is it like a story?
He narrates it. No, he created his own story. So you know how
Our
XCOM
troops
is, you can
just
create
hit
characters,
enemy
right? So he
soil
told his
running.
community, make characters using these mods for XCOM, and I will put them in my game and play through. And then he
We
did his
really
playthrough.
pushed
And then
the
if someone
envelope on
died, he
these
did
ships.
it on hardcore. So if they died, they died. He didn't
Technology
save scum or
discovered.
anything like that.
Rad.
And so if someone died in a previous episode, in the next episode he would start and be like, so we just went through a very devastating mission. We took some serious losses. I can't believe we lost Pro Gamer 76 last week. Yeah, like he did, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But
420 sniper.
yeah, we lost 420 sniper. And it's been everyone's real kind of shaken here. But we got to keep moving forward. We got to keep the mission forward. So now we're turning our eyes to this mission that we got last week and didn't start yet. But he does stuff like that. He's really good at it. He's a GM. One of his other episodes on his channel, he's an inspiration to me, just like in the same way you are, James. He is as well, because
Stop.
he creates the type of content that I want to watch, because he plays strategy games. He plays the old strategy games and mods and all those things that I'm a big fan of.
You heard of Half-Life AI?
No. What is that?
Kind of, sort of reminds me of it. The idea of it, it's like he's playing the game Half-Life, and there are these other guys that are like it's kind of semi-scripted, but they're also like NPCs, and they have like different characters and stuff like that. But he's playing like Half-Life while he's going through the run. And it sounds like the same thing, where there's just like he has like these characters, and they do, except it's not multiplayer, it's just him, I guess. It's a computer, but it's kind of immersive because you don't know what's going to happen, right?
Well, that was, and I tried to take his idea, not deliberately, but I wanted to. The reason I tried to do it was for two reasons. One, there's a guy I was in the Air Force with who played XCOM on console, and he couldn't play any of the expansion stuff like War of the Chosen, which is phenomenal. And I wanted him to see that content, but I also wanted to do it in a way like you talked about earlier, where if you incorporate your viewers, then they'll be invested. So the people that I wanted to watch it were my friends. So I asked my friends to make characters for the game. And it was interesting too, because I had one friend of mine, his name's Lewishaw, his character's name was Anubis. And that dude was a hero for me so many times. You know how when like your back's against the wall in an XCOM mission and you need this guy to crit right now, or you're
You
going
have a
to
99% chance, and you just need that 99% chance.
But no, even opposite. It's like you need him to, like, he's got a 10% chance on this shot, but you need him to hit it. If he doesn't hit this, then a character is gonna die. And he would hit it every time. I'm like, he is a god. Oh my god, he hit that shot. You know what I mean? Like, I get so into it. And the only reason I stopped doing it is because it just takes so long to edit. Because there's so much downtime in that game. Like when you're in the ship and you're going around and you're like, picking people's upgrades and building weapons and doing research and all that stuff. And I'm just like, like I had to do so much editing to get it to the way I liked it, and I'm talking like it would take me longer to edit it than it did to play it. And I was like, I don't know that I like editing enough to do this.
Probably get faster at it too as you go.
I think so too, but I just didn't have the patience for it. And then once I started school, my time just got cut in half. I between doing homework and spending time with my wife and my daughter, and playing games with my friends, and trying to find enough time for all of it, editing had to get cut. Especially now that I play with you guys, because like I play with you guys all the time now.
When James isn't playing Stellaris and still not getting anywhere.
Hey, Kevin.
I haven't played an XCOM game I like though.
I think I hit the end game.
Let me see. I see something.
Are you playing right now, Stellaris, while we're having this conversation?
Yeah. Fight to eradicate the Omni Collectors. Machine Uprising.
Hit them, we fight. Where are they?
I don't know.
I do believe this is one of the end game you can have.
Well. That's not good.
K-pop stands unite.
Oh, there's all the Omni Collectors. All right, so find one of their planets and hover over their fleets. I want to see how big their fleets are.
Is that all your stuff, James? How'd you get all the influence for
Did they just take a bunch of your planets?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wait, who are they?
And only
They're
mine.
Machine Uprising. Did you research some AI technologies?
I did.
Oh my god. Yeah, you created this is I don't think this is the end game event, but it is you went down a dangerous path that you're now being punished for. Oh my god. He lost like half of his territory to the Machine Uprising.
Can't you just like integrate them as part of your society?
I could have. I tried. I don't really.
I think he researched some of the dangerous AI tech, created an AI that is now fighting him.
Instead of like helping him? Some of your policies?
Pretty much, yeah.
Just
Like literally all the planets just changed. They're no
just clicking on
longer
random things, James? Like, what are you...
I got a strategy.
Everything but the colony ship.
Well.
Like, look, like scroll out, James.
Omni Collectors.
Yeah, like all this territory wasn't broken up like that. He was all that blue. And now there's all these little red random patches in it because those planets have been taken over by the
What's
machine.
that green one in the center?
The green one in this one over here?
Move down. You see that green I'm talking about?
I see it, yeah.
What is that? What is that? And there's like a purple one? Like
Oh, those are like the NPCs, but they're not like they're like city states.
Yeah, he could kill that and take it, but there's no reason to. That place gives you stuff.
Yeah. Oh shit! My entire army is over here.
Do you go to war with people and take over their stuff?
It's like the only way you can get a thing this big.
Yeah, I was told that that's basically all I can do. Like that's the only way to win is to dominate the whole map. Like war is not.
Is that like a diplomatic victory or something?
Oh shit.
Yeah, there's not really any other victory. It's not as in depth. As...
They just took all. I powered that thing up. That was a citadel. I'm gonna have to fight my own freaking citadels that I've completely and
Do you have a log or something?
Upgraded. I just lost. I had 56 star bases. I just lost half of them.
Do you have like a log of what's been happening or something? Like.
No. Yes. No. I don't know. I have no idea.
Like, robots are up. Like, how are they getting your planets? If you're not letting them in, right? I mean, with the fighters and stuff.
Did you have robot pops?
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay. I don't do that.
Is that why?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So and I don't know if they still have it, but it used to be like there's researches you can do,
Science
and they would
ship
label them
destroyed.
as dangerous
That's coming
tech.
out of the nerd budget.
So like one of them was like AI subroutines.
Oh, I
or something
totally
like
saw that. I was like, ooh, this could be fun.
Yeah, and so
totally saw
I
it.
would click on it, but then I just wouldn't put robot pops in my. I would just
Found
let
some
humans
enemies.
do it instead of robots. So I'm guessing the planets that got taken over had more robot pops than human pops, maybe, and that's why they shifted over against you.
Es posible.
But I think this is pretty cool. I've never seen it. It's definitely one of the endgame events, but the endgame events that I have are usually like a race from another universe coming into ours.
Well.
The one downside is that I know when you're finally done with this campaign, you're probably going to want to break from Stellaris for a while. And so we're not going to be able to do one together.
I don't know. Like,
What?
I'd be down for starting. I don't want to play that game that you and I played. I'd want to start a whole new one because now I actually kind of know what I'm doing.
Yeah, no, of course.
But a small map, a much smaller map than this one.
Yeah, it looks like you're doing huge.
This is standard.
This is standard.
I think so.
I mean, I could just get it for Kingwin, so it's cheap.
Pretty sure it's standard.
That looks like the largest to me.
Really?
Honestly, yeah.
Oh, shit, I fucked up.
What's that? What's that to the northeast?
Just a little tiny.
Like
I don't even know how that popped up, honestly.
You went there through an L gate, right?
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't remember what it was that triggered it in the first place.
Was there a species on the so for my playthrough
Yes,
that had a series of planets like that? Yeah, they were like robotic creatures on the other side, and they had very strong fleets. But it took me a while, but I managed to beat their fleet. Did they have a strong fleet when you went through?
Can't you get
really,
rights
no.
to robots?
Can I get what?
Rights to robots, so they are part of your civilization instead of rebelling.
Well, it's too late now.
They're part of a faction.
Get these
Is
clowns
it too
off our
late? What
planet.
are your factions? Is there like a robot faction?
I mean, they completely turned into a playable race called the Omni.
Yeah, it's they're their own.
Like, is it too late? Like, I don't.
Yeah, no, they literally, he just got a notification that he's having a machine uprising, and all the robot pops that he had are now belonging to this collective or whatever they're called, and he's at war with them.
And if he makes more of them, then
No, I don't know if he can make more or anything like that. I don't know that, but he is at war with that faction that just created themselves.
One thing I hate is like when the cargo ships, when the pirates are like, they made weapons out of your cargo ships, and like the military is 10 times the size of your actual military.
Yeah.
I'm like, how are you doing this? How can I do that to my own cargo ships? Can I cannibalize them and make a fleet out of them? Because I'd love to do that.
I love coming across, like, I don't know when's the last time you played or anything, but I love coming across like the sun-eating dragon thing, and then I killed it, and I took its egg, and it turned into a sun-eating dragon for me.
What? Did you like move it and stuff, or?
Yeah, no, I could control it just like it was a cruiser in my fleet. I couldn't merge it with any other fleet though. It had to remain independent, and it would grow. It started out kind of small at like 1,200, and then it grew to be like
just over time.
It by itself was like a 5,000.
That's what this one right,
power fleet.
Is. This is a space amoeba.
Yeah.
If that's what you're. Oh my gosh,
no,
I'm getting that lag you're talking about, bro.
Yeah, the one I'm talking about was not a space amoeba. It was
Holy shit, the game just shut down.
It was an actual dragon.
That happens?
Yeah, that's why I don't play. Even on a small map, I had this. The late game lag is pretty bad because of all the trade routes and all the other units and everything going on. It's a problem. There's some there are some mods that help with it that you can download. I don't know what they are off the top of my head. But yeah, you can see it, even the little stutter. If you like, if James watching his fleet go to fight right there, you can see how it kind of like they'll move and then it'll pause for a second and then they'll move and then they'll pause for a second and then they'll move.
The hell are you shooting?
Damn, dude. I got some
What?
badass weapons. Alright, so we're gonna send y'all down here. Boop, boop, boop. Just trying to finish taking these guys out, and then I've got another army sitting here doing nothing, so let's go start taking back 48,000. Can I
What year are
handle...
you? Oh, that's like the end game is 24. I just like read it's like the robot army, like 2400 is like the end game.
Yeah, so that this must be his angle.
What is this
then.
red? Why is it red?
What?
This red line. What is that? I've never seen.
Because you're, I think, because you're, it's going. No, that's not it.
I don't know. Let's go heal up. Maybe
You
that's
damage ships?
Maybe there was
I've never seen that before
wormhole.
either.
Let's go heal you up.
All right. Well, it's way later than I wanted to be up, but I enjoyed our conversation. I wish. Unfortunately, we were just discussing opinions.
I'll send you a list of games that are like Skyrim.
No, but at the end of the day, it's just my opinion. I'm not
Genshin
stating it as
Impact.
fact. No.
Genshin Impact, I've kind of been interested in play it, but
Wow,
I haven't.
we really
I don't
hit
like the
this
idea of
tech
it.
out of
Apparently,
the
their
ballpark.
single player is really good. It's free too, so. And you don't have to buy anything to enjoy it. But then once you get into their end game content, that's when they're asking you for a lot of money.
I'm actually really intrigued by this Half-Life thingy too. I'm probably gonna check that out.
Actually,
Thank you for
oops, put that in Twitch clips.
that. All right, I'm gonna go before we get talking again.
Alright, bruh.
Now, one
I'll
last
see you
thing.
guys later.
That's the new Skyrim thing. You might
What
want to
is-
look into that. Avowed.
Avowed. I vowed to not listen to anything else you were saying. Till I get my planets back.
Too damn bad, James. You'll never get them back.
You might be right.
All right, I'm gonna head out. You guys
Alright,
have a
bruh.
good
These
one.
guys are just coming straight for Bethesda, aren't they?
It's owned by Bethesda. What are you talking about?
What?
No, the IP. Like they had to give them the rights to do it.
No, I know, but they made Outer Worlds, which was Fallout, right? And then now
Yeah.
they're making this, so they're just attacking the IP. You know,
These are
they're
the people
making
that made-
direct competitors.
These are the people that made like Fallout 2, like New Vegas and stuff. Like these like old school interplay people.
I'm happy that they are.
Technology discovered. Rad.
I don't even know how they got the rights to this, but I guess they were like, "Hey guys, people hate our games. Could you make them not hate them anymore?"
Well, this is not an official.
Oh yeah,
Maybe
it's in Eora. That's like the fantasy world of Elder Scrolls. Alright, have a good one.
Alright, bud.
Wait, hold on.
Right.
It's in the Pillars universe. The
Oh,
Pillars
so
of
Pillars
Eternity universe. Yeah.
Oh my bad. Okay, it's not Skyrim, but it is Skyrim.
No, I know. It's like they're coming after them.
Oh
I
shit,
like
you're
it.
totally right. I don't know. I'm really tired.
Yeah. All right. I'll let you go. Bye.
All right, bye.